What's up everyone, we're back to some live showcases today, back to doing the last few monotypes I have left, which is Dragon, Normal and Ghost. So I'm doing Dragon today and hopefully I'll have Normal and Ghost up within the next couple of weeks or sometime next month before the DLC drops, which I believe should be sometime in November. So full disclosure before we start this video, Dragon is definitely one of my worst types this generation. I have absolutely no idea how to play Dragon well. I've even tried borrowing other people's Dragon teams, and for some reason I just can't get the hang of it. I don't know why. The playstyle just doesn't suit me. So I decided to go completely left field with this one, and we are slightly lower ELO wise than I would typically be in a mono showcase. Usually I'm around the 1500s. In this episode we're around the 1400s, kind of mid to high 1400s. So just thought I'd get that out of the way before we start. And now we're going to jump right into the team. So first off the bat we do have Choice Scarf Dracovish. So, Choice Scarf Dracovish is just a fantastic wall breaker. It outspeeds some very key threats in the tier. Non-Choice Scarf wise, I think it's only outsped by a couple of Pokemon such as Dragapult and Zeraora. And moveset wise, we have Vicious Rend, and there's no need to really explain why Vicious Rend is so good. It's strong jaw boosted stab, and it power doubles if moved before the target. So with Choice Scarf, we should just about be able to outspeed most targets, and we're looking at Vicious Rend being well over 200 base. So coming off a mediocre 279 attack, that's still going to be absolutely monstrously powerful. Next up we have Crunch. Crunch is going to be nice dark stab. It kind of just takes care of maybe psychic types or ghost types or anything that might have like water absorb or storm drain that can eat Vicious Rends. Next up we have Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs is okay for taking care of fighting types, as well as some other tricky opponents who might have dry skin, and namely Toxicroak comes to mind. So Toxicroak can otherwise kind of wall out my Dracovish, so Psychic Fangs is really good for grabbing a quick one-hit KO. And I forgot to mention, both Psychic Fangs and Crunch are actually strong jaw boosted. Next up we have Leech Life. Leech Life, to me, I always think it's strong jaw boosted, but I don't think it is, which is why I have it on the team. So I should probably change this to Earthquake, but I'm going to try Leech Life, and maybe throughout the showcase I'll change to Earthquake if needs be. So what Leech Life does is give us a small bit of recovery and lets us take care of, again, like things like psychic types, a few dark types in the tier who might be able to eat my Vicious Rend, which isn't very many, but just in case they exist we have Leech Life for that. Next up we have Kyurem. Kyurem is going to be my Choice Specs user. Kyurem is a fantastic wall breaker while also being quite bulky in itself. Stat wise we are a timid max special attack and max speed. So with this, it allows us to have a nice speed tier of 317, which can outspeed some key threats and also speed tie with other base 95 Pokemon who aren't scarfed. Special attack wise, with 359 Choice Specs, we hit way over 500 special attack, which is super good, especially pairing with its quite nice coverage in Freeze Dry. So we have Freeze Dry and Ice Beam. While Ice Beam is strictly stronger, it is 20 base more. We actually like Freeze Dry so much because it allows us to hit water types super effectively. For things like Pelipper, Dracovish, Toxapex, like the list honestly goes on of what Freeze Dry can take care of. So it's fantastic for mono water teams, for example. It's really good for grabbing KOs on those. Ice Beam then is just nice stab. It's also good against flying types, or stronger on flying types, stronger on neutral than Freeze Dry is, assuming they're not water type, and just generally nice stab to be able to click. Next up we have Earth Power. Earth Power is there to take care of pesky ground types that can otherwise kind of wall out my Draco Meteors and my Ice Stab. So Earth Power is just generally quite strong in that regard. Also hits a lot of poison types super effectively. Like it might be Salazzle who wants to swap in a Freeze Dry from a Toxapex, for example. Earth Power is generally the safer mid-ground to play in that case because it can generally KO both of them. And finally we have Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor is just going to be like an absolute wall break at 130 base stab. Coming off a Specs Kyurem, this thing hurts so hard. And with that, it can kind of just KO walls that we don't want to deal with. Unfortunately, it does have the side effect of lowering our special attack 2 stages, meaning Kyurem basically has to swap out afterwards, but it is good just for like a final go out with a bang. So next up we have Dragapult. Dragapult is our first and one of 2 only non-choice locked users. He is a Life Orb Dragapult with Dragon Darts, Sucker Punch, Phantom Force and Dragon Dance. So we're going to go into the stat spread first of all. It's quite simple, it's just a max attack adamant with max speed. The reason we didn't go for a plus speed nature is because after Dragon Dance, we can outspeed most of the tier, even most Choice Scarf users, because very little Choice Scarf users have 383 base speed to begin with. Not all of them, I believe. Weavile has maybe 1 point more, and he is sometimes choice locked, so bear that in mind. But for the most part, our nice attack is boosted further by Dragon Dance as well as our fantastic speed. On top of that, Life Orb makes us do so much more damage at the cost of some of our HP every turn. So this thing doesn't have any form of longevity. The team in general doesn't have longevity. It's quite an aggressive playstyle. Ability-wise, we're using Infiltrator over Clear Body. Clear Body is really good for blocking Intimidates or blocking Sticky Webs, but Infiltrator is fantastic as the team is very hyper-aggressive and choice-locked for the most part. Substitute builds can give us quite a lot of hassle, as well as screens, so Infiltrator is nice to just ignore. So next up we have our second Choice Scarf user, Choice Scarf Hydreigon. Stat spread wise, it's going to be a max speed Timid with max special attack. So despite the fact we have U-turn, we are still a minus attack nature because we don't really want to sacrifice our defenses, and U-turn still hits relatively decently because of its amazing 105 base attack. And more importantly, U-turn is only there for pivoting and kind of grabbing momentum. So Choice Scarf Hydreigon gives our team much needed speed control because Dracovish isn't that fast even after a Choice Scarf. Hydreigon does outspeed a lot of threats. Moveset wise, as I said, we have U-turn for momentum and as well as just being able to break sashes or sturdy and get into a Pokemon we'd rather have. Dark Pulse is just great stab to have, as well as being able to flinch opponents, which is quite nice. Not much else to say there except that Dark hits most things neutrally in the tier, so it is generally a very good move to have. Flamethrower is specifically here for threats like Ferrothorn and Caesar, who can give my team a bit of trouble because we don't have any other fire coverage, as well as Corviknight is another good example of something we might need to Flamethrower. So it's important to have that fire coverage on a dragon team. And finally, Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon is just there to deal with fairies, but it can also hit things like rock super effectively and ice super effectively, which can be quite nice. Despite the fact Dark Pulse does hit them neutrally, sometimes against an ice or rock team we just like to click Flash Cannon more. Next up we have Choice Band Haxorus. So Choice Band Haxorus is going to be a max attack Adamant Choice Band, which skyrockets this thing's attack well over the 600 mark, making this thing just hit so hard. With Mold Breaker, it does ignore things like Sturdy, Disguise, important things. It would ignore Levitate if I was running Earthquake, but I am trying to experiment without Earthquake. We also have max speed just to gain some good speed control against some slower targets. Moveset wise, we have First Impression. So First Impression, unfortunately, it does lock us into it after turn 1, so it's not the best, I guess not the best setup in general, but it is just good to have as a last ditch effort that just hits things like so hard. Coming off, as I said, over 600 attack, First Impression is going to hurt. On top of that, it's very good against dark teams, which can give the team a small bit of trouble, so that's nice to have. Next up we have Poison Jab. Poison Jab is pretty much only there for fairies. I'm not sure if this thing gets Iron Head. No, it only gets Iron Tail, unfortunately. Iron Tail would be okay because it can hit steel types like Klefki, but Poison Jab does hit things like Primarina and Azumarill, which are also super important threats to the team, so we're going for Poison Jab to hit those fairies. Next up is Outrage. There's not much to say about Outrage. It is a slight bit more powerful than Dragon Claw and doesn't hit anything super effectively of note besides other dragons. However, it is 120 base, and again I have to reiterate, this thing has well over 600 attack. So at well over 600 attack, a 120 base stab move is just going to absolutely destroy basically any non-dedicated physical wall. And finally you have Close Combat. Close Combat is really good for catching those pesky steel types off guard, especially something like Ferrothorn, who we otherwise don't really like to hit with this Pokemon. And finally we have Duraludon. Duraludon is my only form of semi-setup on the team. Duraludon is going to be a supporter Duraludon, and its stat spread is a bit strange compared to other Duraludon because generally people like to go for a speedy special attacker or sometimes maybe more defensive Pokemon. But I've gone for a specially defensive Duraludon with max HP, max special defense and calm nature. Despite the fact it's max special defense, calm nature, its abysmal base special defense makes it still quite weak. However, it is very important to have Duraludon be able to tank Draco Meteors, be able to tank Moonblasts, for example, because the rest of the team simply cannot take those. And with Duraludon, he can usually take one and endeavour to set up a light screen. So I chose light screen over Reflect because my team, I feel in general, loses more to special attacks, as I said, from Fairy, Ice, and Dragon, which we very often see as special attacks. So with Light Clay and Light Screen, we can give our team 8 turns of suppressing special attacks to hopefully just about survive these super effective hits. Next up we do have Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is fairly self-explanatory again. It's there to break Sturdy's stashes and kind of just dissuade my opponent from continuously swapping out, especially in the face of choice locked dragons. I don't want my opponent to be able to swap out too much without being punished. Next up we have Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon is there as a nice secondary stab to my dragon stabs I have on the team, as well as being able to hit fairies super effectively, which is super important because, as I said, Duraludon should be able to generally live 1 or 2 fairy moves thanks to being part steel type. And finally we have Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave is great for slowing down like opponents in Choice Scarf users or maybe opposing Speed Boost users to allow things like my Haxorus or Cura, my Wall Breakers, to just absolutely obliterate them. So that's going to be the team today. We're going to pause there till we find some games. So unfortunately we do have a game against Mono Fairy, which is not going to be easy even remotely, but we will do our best nonetheless. So in this position, Klefki is annoying for my team because I believe they are dual screens, but on top of that Hatterene kind of just cleanly KOs my entire team, so I'm going to open up a Kyurem here, expecting them maybe want to go into Klefki as they go Primarina turn 1. Interesting play. I want to click Freeze Dry, though they can go into Klefki nicely. So Earth Power would have been a great play on my part, but I couldn't risk Primarina just clicking Freeze Dry, Moonblast on my Kyurem and KOing it so early. So I think Hydreigon is the play here, as they are indeed dual screens. So dual screens spells trouble. Wow, that took no damage whatsoever. That's just 8. We need to keep Duraludon healthy to deal with Hatterene. So in this position I think we have to sack my Hydreigon. And unfortunately I have very little to do against this. I can try click Poison Jab, but if they go into Klefki, great play, as they do, so that looks like it's pretty much going to be the end for me. I can try click Dragon Dance here, but they will T-Wave me turn 1. As they actually go hard Grimmsnarl. Interesting. So Grimmsnarl completely walls out all my stabs, which is not good for me. So again I go Haxorus, which dies to his Spirit Break, unfortunately. This game looks like it's going to be a complete write-off for me. As I said, Hatterene pretty much 6-0s my team clean. As they actually go into Hatterene hard here. Interesting play. It does let me Flash Cannon them again and get them quite low. I also dropped their special defense, which is super, super important for me, as Draining Kiss will not do enough to fully recover their HP. Now Weezing comes out here, and I'm going to click Light Screen on a Misty Explosion, as they actually go for Strange Team. Based on that damage, it looks to be Specs. So unfortunately I'm going to have to give them my Duraludon here. I feel like Kyurem has to be the play. And I want to click Earth Power again to want to KO this, but then they can swap into Azumarill and Primarina for free. So I click Specs Freeze Dry, which does a ton of damage. Unfortunately, again, this opens up Klefki to come out. As Grimmsnarl comes out, I will click Specs Freeze Dry. The Sucker Punch just about misses out in the KO. Unfortunately, my Freeze Dry does not KO either. I will get in Dracovish, and they definitely want to either put up Reflect here or go for a T-Wave, so I'll try get out Kyurem again. As they go for the Reflect, and they're going to go for a Light Screen this turn. Unfortunately, that pretty much ends the game for me, as I believe they are T-Wave Foul Play. Yeah, that's going to be the end for me. I'll try Phantom Force here, but it won't get a KO. as it actually managed to get the KO, but unfortunately I believe Grimmsnarl kind of just wins the end game regardless, as Aqua Jet definitely KOs here. So all I can hope for is that they're banded, and they have to swap out here. Oh, that did a ton of damage. And they are unfortunately not banded, meaning Aqua Jet KOs both these Pokemon, and that's going to be game, unfortunately. So we're going to pause there till we find the next game. So we have a game against Mono Fighting, and in this game, right off the bat, Urshifu can definitely be a bit of trouble for my team, as well as Cobalion, just because it's Steel type. But we do have some good options here in the likes of Kyurem, who can kind of click Earth Power and Draco Meteor and start getting a lot of kills and a lot of their threats, as well as Dracovish, who in general just is all very strong, but I do have to worry about Dry Skin on Toxicroak. To open up, I think, with Haxorus, as they open up Mine Shao, and we kind of just click Close Combat turn 1, I think, and just kind of get a KO, as I don't think this will be able to want to KO me, and it will probably want to go for a U-turn. First impression, unfortunately, is not the best. I need to save that for either Gallade or Urshifu, as they go for a close combat, which lowers their defense, thankfully, letting me get the KO there. Which is a nice first turn. It's not the biggest threat to my team, but it keeps Haxorus alive to click first impression later in the game. So here, Hydreigon is definitely the sack, as they go straight for a fake out, and we will click Flash Cannon, just to get off some damage if possible. Actually, we'll click Flamethrower in case they want to go into Cobalion or maybe Toxicroak. Other than that, Hydreigon is definitely the most expendable member on the team. And after this position, we get in Dracovish and click Psychic Fangs on what I expect to be Toxicroak coming out. If they read that and go into Urshifu, great play. Yeah, oh wow, I'm surprised Hydreigon survived that. So here we're going to get Dracovish out and click Psychic Fangs. I expect them to maybe want to go into Toxicroak, expecting me exactly to go for a Vicious Rend, which opens up Vicious Rend so much in the end game, so that was a very, very helpful play. Urshifu comes out here, and Urshifu is nothing short of trouble for my team, especially if it's a bulk up build. So based on that damage, I think it's Scarf. I believe Band would have killed, which hopefully lets me get out Dracovish again and just click Vicious Rend, which should kind of claim a KO here on pretty much anything coming out. Actually, that's Scarf, so I played that very badly. I should have taken in Kyurem, as they actually swap into Gallade, giving me another KO, which is very, very nice for me. So I'm in the position now where Urshifu is definitely a hassle, as Hitmontop comes out. I'll go into Dragapult here, and I think I just click Dragon Darts. So Dragapult should eat whatever it throws my way as they go for Fake Out. I want to Dragon Dance really bad, but I feel if they go into Urshifu, it's a bad play, but I'm going to do it anyway. If they go hard Urshifu here, it puts them in the position where I believe they have to choice lock themselves into Sucker Punch, which lets me get out like Kyurem and click Earth Power on their team as they go into Cobalion. So we're going to click Phantom Force here, as it'll probably just do the most damage. I don't think it'll KO Cobalion. This thing is extremely bulky, but it will do a lot of damage as they taunt me and thankfully miss. That doesn't make too big of a difference in this play, as they do give us a ton of damage on Cobalion, which is very nice. They go for the Toxic, interesting play. I think here we just Dragon Darts, as it should, I believe, KO. That did 68, and that is almost as strong, but half effective. So I'm going to Phantom Force again, just in case it doesn't KO. They get the Intimidate off, unfortunately, but we should get a ton of damage here with the Phantom Force. So what I want to do is kind of force in Urshifu and force it to click Sucker Punch on me, which could be exactly what I got this to do. I'm going to Dragon Dance in his face first to scout for Sucker Punch. And if they do Sucker Punch, exactly, I can now swap into Kyurem. So they're forced to swap out here, unless they actually stay in, and they are choice locked, it seems, based on the way they're playing, and I believe Kyurem lives one hit, and I think Earth Power is actually, I think Ice Beam is the play here. It should KO anything. Cobalion is low enough to the point where an Ice Beam should KO, and presumably Hitmontop comes out again. If that's the case, we always go into Dragapult. Actually, Haxorus is looking super good here in the end game. So Hitmontop comes out, but we know Kyurem, I believe, can survive a hit from Urshifu, so we want to keep this alive if at all possible. So we'll go Dragapult here, as they Bullet Punch. Good play, but this lets us get out Dracovish now and click Vicious Rend. They're forced to Bullet Punch us, but we won't take any damage from that because we are resisting from Water type, and this kind of forces out Urshifu or gives me Hitmontop. And I'm almost certain that Kyurem does live a Choice Scarf Wicked Blow from Urshifu. They might click Close Combat, which is okay for me too, because it will lower their defense to the point where Haxorus can one-hit KO with a Banded Adamant First Impression. So fighting is a kind of a tough matchup. I don't think Dragon is the best position in the meta right now, as I said earlier. I think Fairy is so abundant, and because Fairy is so abundant, we do see a good bit of steals, which Dragon can struggle with a bit, and on top of that, Water, while it's definitely a dual matchup, thanks to the likes of just resisting all its stabs, Kingdra can be a huge threat to my team. So they actually give me Urshifu, which is great for me. So I think in this position, Kyurem is the most expendable member, and I can just get out Vicious Rend again later. Ooh, they go for the speed boost with Rapid Spin. That is a fantastic, fantastic play. Thankfully, I still do outspeed, and this should put them in range of First Impression. So that was a great play on their part, trying to outspeed me with Rapid Spin. Unfortunately, it's not going to work out, as I still outsped them at +1. And here I think I just click Banded Adamant First Impression, which should KO. It is not very effective, but it's just coming off 648 attacks, so I believe this does KO. If not, we do have Vicious Rend in the back, and there's nothing Hitmontop can do to one-hit KO me. GG. So we're going to pause there till we find our next game. So we have a game against Mono Rock, and Mono Rock could be somewhat difficult, as we're expecting maybe like Choice Scarf Terrakion. Lycanroc with its strong priority can be dangerous too, as well as Shuckle. Just been very annoying in the early game, opening with hazards, and there's not much I can really do to stop that. So I think we're going to open up with Hydreigon here, as they open up Tyranitar, and we will U-turn. I expect them to maybe want to go for an Ice Beam, as Rock does struggle with special attackers, as they go for Stone Edge, and does very little damage to me. Flash Cannon, I want a T-Wave here, I want a Flash Cannon, but I think T-Wave is the better play. And now I can get up my own rocks, hopefully putting in a position where Shuckle will break Shuckle's sturdy, and I can win a KO it with the likes of Dracovish. So in this position, I kind of just get out Dracovish and get a kill. And I think anything coming out, and the rocks definitely help, as they will break any sturdies or sashes that my opponent may have. So they go in Shuckle, and I don't think it lives this. It was a crit, I'm not sure if that mattered. I really couldn't say. As Terrakion comes out, and this is surely Choice Scarfed. I don't think it goes for a close combat because I have a Dragapult in the team. I feel like Kyurem is the most expendable member here, as it loses to a lot of their team. They go for a Stone Edge, as I expected. Unfortunately for them, they did miss, and it lets me click Earth Power. Oof. So RNG is not working in their favour right now, missing 2 Stone Edges in a row, as well as being crit on the Shuckle. So Earth Power pretty much KOs anything that comes out, but Lycanroc, if it's banded, can do a ton of damage to me with Accelerock. This doesn't survive, does it? It is solid rock, so just about does cling in there, and activates weakness policy, which is quite scary for me. Though again, it puts me in a position where Dracovish just comes out and clicks Vicious Rend again. So Vicious Rend, if it doesn't win a KO Barbaracle, should put it in the range for First Impression. As for some reason, Rock doesn't resist Bug, which always surprises me. So that was a very, very unfortunate game for them. I do feel bad because I pretty much only won because of RNG. But I guess that is the game we play, so we have to take those. GG. So we're going to pause there till we find the next game. So we have our next game, and it is against Mono Psychic. In this game, definitely the likes of Indeedee can be annoying to be able to click Expanding Force, but we do have Hydreigon. On top of that, Hatterene is such a huge threat to my team. But between Hydreigon, Dragapult, and Haxorus, I do believe we can win this game nicely enough. So we're actually going to open up with Haxorus here and click First Impression. Unfortunately, it won't KO Jirachi, I believe, because it's part Steel type. It's only neutrally effective, but it does a chunk of damage as they go for Iron Head. So here, I believe Dracovish is the play. And I will Crunch, expecting maybe Slowking to want to come in and eat this. Exactly, so we get a KO here in Slowking, which is probably going to teleport, swap out to get some regen, but nothing on their team loves swapping into this, except Gallade actually can be an issue. So what we're going to do is preempt that and go into Dragapult here. Oh, surprisingly they actually stayed in. We'll click Phantom Force, and this will actually let me scout if this is Specs or Scarf. If they attack first, as they did, they are actually Scarf, which lets me get a Hydreigon for free here. I can't just click Dark Pulse. Again, I have to worry about Gallade, so Hatterene comes out, and I always go into Duraludon when this comes out, as they open Trick Room up, but I can just click Flash Cannon here. They shouldn't be able to KO me, even with Dazzling Gleam. Oh, as they actually can because they're a Life Orb. That's good to know. We get the crit again, so helpful. My RNG is really pulling through for me here, which I do feel kind of bad for because there's no way I'm deserving these wins. I don't know what Gallade can do against me. I think I T-Wave it, though that will make it slower than a lot of the rest of my team. Though my team is quite speedy, so I think I might actually just Flash Cannon and get some damage off on this. As it goes with a Swords Dance. Not good, so we'll try T-Wave this. As they are Lumberry, yikes. That is very scary for me. So they are probably Shadow Sneak. I think Haxorus is the play here, and I click First Impression. If they go into Indeedee, great play. As they give me another critical. That is Banded Adamant, so I don't think it made too much of a difference, but I can't deny that RNG is working so much in my favour in this game. So they definitely go for a Dazzling Gleam here. So I'll give them Dragapult, as I think it's at this point in the game expendable. And I am almost certain Dracovish lives at Dazzling Gleam from a Scarf. I guess we're going to find out, and we're going to click Leech Life here to try and get the damage it does back to me. So that was a huge throw on my part. Because I keep forgetting Leech Life I don't think is actually boosted by the Strong Jaw, which always surprises me because I feel like Leech Life is a biting move, but maybe I'm wrong. So unfortunately here we'll have to give them some damage. I value Hydreigon so much in the end game. Please don't flinch. Nice, so we did outspeed them. And here I go into Kyurem. So I think we can actually win the end game with Hydreigon. Clicking Leech Life was such a big throw on my part. I just should have clicked Crunch and played it safe. We'll click Ice Beam here as we survive because Kyurem is actually just surprisingly bulky. And we activate their Sash. So this should give me the position now where Choice Scarf Hydreigon just clicks Dark Pulse and wins the game. So to be honest, I don't think I deserve this game. I think I played terribly. Some of the crits definitely helped, and Hydreigon is fantastic in the late game, especially because it did outspeed their entire team. And once they lost Hatterene, it was difficult for them to KO me. I think Dark Pulse KOs. Oh my god. They go for Surf, surprisingly. I guess they don't have Ice Beam or the likes. So again, Hydreigon managed to just cling in there. That is going to be game because I am Scarf and do outspeed Indeedee. So GG. Not my finest show this game, but we will take it and we'll pause till we find the next one. So we have our next game and it's against Mono Ice. So I don't see any way I can really spaghetti my way to a victory here. So we're going to have to just try our best, though I expect this to probably be a loss here. They open up with Darmanitan, and we will use this as an opportunity to get my Stealth Rocks down, I think. Yeah, we want Stealth Rocks down here, as they open up with Superpower. Interesting. So, with that, They are surely guerrilla tactics, which should let me get a Dragon Dance off here. Unfortunately, they have so many Ice Shatters on their team. As they go into Cloister here. We'll click Dragon Darts, which won't KO. But it does actually a huge chunk of damage. As they Icicle Spear, so good play on their part. Not going for the Shell Smash. Sorry, my bad. So this is a dangerous game for me here. Maybe I could have played it better in turn 1, although I did not expect a superpower to come out. Abomasnow comes out. And I think here, Hydreigon is definitely my most expendable member. And we can just click Flash Cannon, which should do a chunk of damage. Unless they are Ice Shard. As they don't seem to be, and we get a good chunk of damage here. So Kyurem's the play, and we... Ice Beam is not favourable, but we just want to chip on anything we can get. And actually, that was Choice Scarf for Abomasnow. Interesting. So I guess best case scenario here is we want to try and get this out to get them to click Superpower, which lets me take in Dracovish now and kind of just click Vicious Rend. As they give me another big threat. If they are Scarfed Weavile, though I don't expect them to be, they are Scarf Abomasnow and Scarf Darmanitan. This is probably Sash. Yeah, exactly, it is Sash. Unfortunately, that will probably cost us the game. We can click Outrage, but this is going to be a clean loss. So I definitely could have played this game cleaner. We could have maybe won if I did, but we take these losses. Stealth Rock turn 1 would have been nice, but I definitely did not expect the Superpower to come out. So GG. We're going to pause there until we find our next game. So we have a game here against Monobug, and with Monobug, Volcarona is a huge threat to my team, so we're definitely going to play around that somewhat carefully, as well as that Sticky Webs and Galvantula can be quite annoying for me to deal with. So here I think I'll open up with Haxorus and just get a first impression off. This does KO them if they're not Sash, but Galvantula is almost always Sash, as they are here as well, so that makes sense. I think Duraludon might be the play on the Bug Buzz, as we do resist it. And we can get our own Stealth Rock down here, which is kind of nice later in the game. Though I think I'm actually going to get Light Screen up first, as it helps immensely against the likes of Volcarona. They go into Heracross, and they might close combat here, and I'll try get into Dragapult if they do. Exactly, which they do. And I will try Dragon Dance here. They get in Galvantula, which is okay with me because now I do outspeed. And Dragon Darts really threatens a lot of their team. So Excelgor and Durant are still quite strong against me, but I don't see a way Excelgor can win a KO me. As I go for a Yawn. Good play. But I think I value KOing this, even if I do sleep. As if they get in Volcarona, I can take in Dracovish and threaten their entire team with a Vicious Rend. And I should survive any one hit because I am behind a light screen this turn. I don't fear anything they can do unless they do crit me. And I just click Vicious Rend here. Nice, so we get rid of Volcarona, which is probably the biggest threat my opponent had. Unfortunately, they did manage to burn me thanks to Flame Body. I just gonna click Vicious Rend again and get as much damage off as possible. So in this position, it opens up Hydreigon to click Flamethrower so much in the end game. I do have to worry about Heracross and Durant, as it's going to click First Impression here, I believe. So we'll get in Duraludon again. And they revealed themselves to be Life Orb. We'll try T-Wave, just in case they want to swap into Heracross. As they go for a Superpower. Interesting. So that let me get out Hydreigon again and click Flamethrower. I do outspeed Heracross and Durant here, so that's fantastic for me. Now unfortunately they can get a Moxie boost here, but they're not able to click Close Combat, as my Dragapult will always survive, assuming they are Choice Scarf. So we're going to get Flamethrower off, do as much damage as possible, which is quite a decent amount of damage, and they go for a Mega Horn. So on the Mega Horn, oof, this is difficult. I don't think Kyurem lives one. I'm relying on First Impression to KO, so I think I'm going to try Calc this. We're gonna run a quick calc here. What's his name? Daxorus. Choice Band? Is that Adamant? That's Jolly. Heracross. Well, I think he's Choice Scarf. So, first impression. 33 to 39. That's not Adamant, so this should KO here. Nice. So we get the KO and GG. So another nice win for us there. We're going to pause till we find the next one. So we have a game against Mono Water, and in this game, we absolutely love Kyurem for its ability to click Freeze Dry on basically everything on their team. Now, Dragovich can definitely be a bit of an issue for us, especially if it's Choice Scarf. But that said, we always left it up with Kyurem, I believe, and just kind of click Freeze Dry. So Toxapex comes out turn 1 and probably wants to throw down some Toxic Spikes, but absolutely nothing like swapping into this, as they actually Toxic us outright. Which is okay, because, as I said, we get a KO with Freeze Dry regardless, as 4 of their Pokemon are quadruply weak to Freeze Dry, and Barraskewda is not bulky enough to take Stab Freeze Dry. So beyond that, it is unfortunate to have Kyurem be Toxic, because we are on a timer now, but that said, we still value it so much just through the ability to click Freeze Dry, and we kind of deny Rain by KOing Pelipper when it comes in. Toxapex, it can pose as a bit of an issue in the late game, so we definitely want to keep things alive, like Kyurem, Dragapult, assuming it's not Haze, and maybe even Haxorus can just absolutely overpower it with Stab, Outrage. So unfortunately for my opponent, they don't have any Kingdra, which is one of the biggest threats to a Dragon team that Water can have, basically because Dragon pretty much always has to sack something to a Draco Meteor every time they want to drop one. So Pelipper comes out, and unless this is Scarf, we do outspeed, and Freeze Dry does, as I said, get a KO here. Nice. So I presume Barraskewda comes out here and probably wants to start clicking Close Combat maybe, as it is super effective on my Kyurem and my Duraludon. Though Dragapult can easily swap in, it's actually also super effective on Hydreigon, so we are quite weak to Close Combat. As expected, Barraskewda comes out, and I'm going to try going to Dragapult here. If it is choice locked into Close Combat, but I think Barraskewda tend to be Life Orb. So unfortunately that does not give us any information if this is choice locked or not. And we kind of value Dragapult, I think, to be a secondary check to Toxapex, but I'll try Phantom Force here, as Toxapex actually comes out. So unfortunately this won't KO, I think, allowing them to Toxic me or potentially set down Toxic Spikes. So they go for Protect over Baneful Bunker, which is kind of strange, and thankfully my Phantom Force goes through it, and here I can collect Dragon Darts, which again is in a position where it gets a KO. They've also lost Rain now, so I will outspeed Ludicolo and potentially outspeed Barraskewda if it's Adamant. So Ludicolo comes out. I think I value Duraludon the least in this position. Oh, they actually Rain Dance, getting back up their speed with Swift Swim. So good play, but I can paralyze them here, as Ice Beam does very little damage to me, even with Life Orb. Unfortunately, we do miss the T-Wave, so I'm going to actually set up a light screen here, just to kind of let things like Kyurem guarantee live this hit. As we got a T-Wave down too, so I'll try throwing Stealth Rocks. They will still outspeed us and KO this turn, which is fine, because it lets me get in Kyurem, who now guarantees outspeeds everything. Or sorry, guarantees gets a KO. And we still have light screen up, in case they want to save Ludicolo. Nice. So Dragovich can be an issue if it is Choice Scarf, because it can click Outrage and potentially KO basically my entire team. So we're going to check for it is here. It is indeed Choice Scarfed. So I kind of have to play this a bit difficult. My play is to go into Hydreigon here and get as much chip as possible with Dark Pulse. Wow, that was strong. Okay. Perfect. I think that's all the chip we needed to be able to kill with Haxorus in first impression. Which again, first impression will KO Barraskewda nicely. So what we're going to do is sack our Dracovish here. And if they are for some reason Focus Sash, my Dragapult can always Sucker Punch them. So I think we actually win the game here with Vicious Rend, so that's going to be that game. So that is going to be my Mono Dragon Showcase, or actually I think I'll look for one more game, so I'm going to be right back. So we have a game against the same Psychic player, Grey Chocolate, as we played a few minutes ago. So here we know that this is going to be a Choice Scarf Indeedee, as well as a Focus Sash Alakazam, so that's good information for us to have in the end game. I think I'm going to open up a Dragapult here, and just try and threaten them with a Phantom Force immediately. So what this lets me do is, as they are Choice Scarf, and I do flinch unfortunately, so I get in Dracovish, as it should be able to live these nicely enough, and in this position I think I'll just click Vicious Rend. It doesn't give them much of a swap in, as they go into Slowking here, as that actually just does so much damage. I did not think that would 2-hit KO, especially because it's Choice Scarf Dracovish, but I guess I underestimated its power. So this kind of forces them to take out maybe like the likes of Indeedee, or perhaps Jirachi again. As they go in Alakazam, expecting them to want to go for a counter, I will go into Dragapult here. As they go straight for a Dazzling Gleam, good play. And what I will do here is U-turn on Hydreigon into my Duraludon on the Dazzling Gleam, as they actually go into Jirachi. So I definitely value this thing being paralyzed, but I need to keep Duraludon alive for the likes of Indeedee in the endgame. So what I'll do is go into Haxorus and just click Close Combat, expecting them to want to go Indeedee to block with a Psychic Terrain. The Close Combat should KO. Nice. So unfortunately this does open up Hatterene quite a lot in the endgame, as it comes in for free here. As Gallade actually comes in. So I think Dracovish is my play, because they cannot Shadow Sneak me because of their own terrain, and I can click Vicious Rend here and get a KO. Now Alakazam can definitely come back out as Hatterene comes in. I believe this dies to Vicious Rend. Nice, and thanks to their Psychic Terrain, there's nothing they could do to use priority on me. So we're going to pause there till we find one more game. So we have a game against Mono Ghost. Now Mono Ghost can be an annoying matchup, especially because of Mimikyu, its disguise. They have their own Dragapult as well, which can be very dangerous for me. As well as Sableye just generally being quite annoying and spreading hazards across my team. Now we do love Hydreigon in this game, as well as my own Dragapult if I can get it to use it right. And here I believe I'll open up a Duraludon and try to get my rocks down as early as possible. They open up a Dragapult and we will T-Wave them. So they U-turn, revealing not much, but I expect that to probably be a Choice Scarfer. Either way, T-Wave is quite nice in this game, as they go into Corsola. That's okay, because I said I still think I value rocks a lot in this game. And in this position, I believe Kyurem is the best play, as we can't be strength sapped for too much, and it's not that useful later in the game against much else. So they Will-O-Wisp us here, which isn't too bad, and here we can just click Ice Beam. Nothing on their team loves swapping into Ice Beams, and they actually get disabled turn 1, which is really, really frustrating. So I'm going to have to go into Hydreigon here and try click Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse I believe gets a KO here, but unfortunately it opens up the likes of Mimikyu, as it actually just misses out on the KO. And they do Strength Step us. So not a good start for me. Dragapult is still a huge issue, as they go in Sableye. Interesting, because we do a ton of damage to them. We actually out-damage their recovers, and they can't Will-O-Wisp me or Prankster me because I am Dark type. That's really good for me, as they're almost forced to give me another KO, as they actually end up forfeiting. So that was a very short game, so I'm going to try find another one before we leave it. So we have another game against a different Psychic team. In this game, I didn't even realise Meowstic was back this generation, so I've never really seen that being used, so that's cool to see. As well as that, we definitely have to worry about the likes of Hatterene, as well as Alakazam can be trouble, and Slowbro can definitely go a long way to wall out my Dracovish. So here, I think I open up Haxorus again and try get an early KO if possible. They are Pranksters, so I'm going to go into Hydreigon. They're probably dual screens actually, so I'll just click First Impression here and get a KO. Nice. Now unfortunately we do reveal the fact we are First Impression, but getting the KO there is quite nice, as it will stop them from getting screened down this game. They go into Slowbro, and on Slowbro I feel Kyurem is my best bet, as I can click Freeze Dry and should be able to wall most of what they throw my way. They go for a Future Sight, which isn't a big issue. I just click Freeze Dry here. And we can always swap into Hydreigon to eat the Future Sight if needs be. So Hatterene comes out and does take a good chunk of damage, and I will just click Freeze Dry again. I don't want to let this set up in my face, and I'm okay to take the Future Sight, as unfortunately it did a lot of damage because it was a crit, but that's not too much to worry about. Indeed, he comes out here, and in this position I think Duraludon is always my play, as I should be able to eat an Expanding Force and a Dazzling Gleam quite nicely in fact, and we can get up Light Screen here. Slowbro ends up coming out, and I will get my rocks down if possible. I don't worry too much about Indeedee, as my Choice Scarf Hydreigon does outspeed either way, and we can get Kyurem out here to click Freeze Dry again. They go for a Future Sight, and we'll always click Freeze Dry. They could swap into like Gallade or Alakazam to eat this, but I don't think they want to give me Gallade, because Gallade is their best bet against my Hydreigon, as that's exactly what they end up giving me. Now unless this is Choice Scarf, I do outspeed and should KO this. And I should live the Future Sight thanks to my Light Screen and the fact it was a critical last time. Oof. So that's a lot of damage. I think Future Sight actually might go through screens, as far as I'm aware, as Alakazam comes out, and it is indeed going to be a Focus Sash, I believe. So we want to keep Kyurem alive for Slowbro. I think Dragapult is always the play here, as I should survive anything thanks to my Light Screen. And Dragon Darts will... it won't KO Slowbro unfortunately, as they end up giving me Indeedee. Interesting. So Dragapult is so good against Alakazam, as Dragon Darts will hit twice. On this Slowbro coming out, I will just U-turn, as they actually go into Alakazam and give it to me. Interesting. So I will break their Sash here, and Slowbro doesn't really stand much of a chance against Specs Freeze Dry Kyurem. As well as that, I do have First Impression on my Haxorus whenever Psychic Terrain ends up wearing out. Nice, so they give me Alakazam, and all that's left is Slowbro, and I don't see a way Slowbro can take care of all 6 of my Pokemon, so that is going to be game, I believe. So Freeze Dry should be able to win a KO. If not, as I said, we do have First Impression in the back to back me up. I'll click Phantom Force here, as it wears away their Psychic Terrain faster. Well, not faster, but it lets me live a turn to wear away their Psychic Terrain. GG. So I believe they've acknowledged the fact the game is over. With that, it's going to be the showcase for Dragon. It's definitely a very unconventional Dragon team, which is quite fun to use, but I really did have fun using it. So Dragon definitely isn't my best type, so I'm happy to get some wins. I definitely could have played better in some of the earlier games, for example, against Mono Ice and maybe Mono Fairy. I could have played slightly better, but we didn't, so it's how it is. So if you did enjoy this, definitely check out my other showcases. I still have 2 types left, normal and Ghost, to do, which hopefully I will get done either the end of this month or next month. I do have some videos in the works currently, hopefully be out by the end of the month, so look forward to those. And if you did enjoy, feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate it. It really helps me out. Helps me grow. I have left the team link down below as usual, as well as a link to my Discord. So if you want to join the Discord, feel free. Chat to myself, chat to the community. Just get to talk about Pokemon, monotypes, and just stuff in general. So with that, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care.